when we talk about the community of Makoba, love it. When I first met you, along with the ladies, you spoke about that so passionately. And I saw it again in your presentation as well. There was an article I read, I think it was in the Sowetan, it was published in April 2022, where they spoke about Makoba Farms and Nestle milking it together. What a line, eh? What a line, milking it together. And so that spoke to that mutual, mutually beneficial partnership. You used the word adopted, but for me, it felt like it was something that's mutually beneficial. And so I'm going to ask you a question that was similar to what I asked Kate, in terms of, I can see the narrative of why that community would appeal to the Nestle story. I can see. But when we talk to just many other great initiatives that are out there, begging for Nestle's attention, what do you analyze, what do you assess in ensuring that this is the one that is going to make the headline partnerships happen?
Yeah, you see, that headline alone gives it away. I think milk is one of the key ingredients in our products, right? So that is why anything that has to do with farming touches our hearts. And most importantly, dairy farming, right? I did mention that also within that province, we have a factory in Harrismith, which makes formula or baby milk. We have a factory in Escort, whose one of the key ingredients is milk. We have a factory in, where's the other one? Okay, besides that, even with the chocolates and stuff in East London, not in the same province, but in East London, milk is still the key ingredient in that. So anything milky will milk away, which is awesome.
Milk away.
And as we're milking, we'll milk it with the right partners. So that's I think that was one of the drivers. And again, we said we want to have a 360 kind of benefit, or a 360 kind of approach. Yes, it's not just about sourcing or milk from that particular farm. It's about then how do we then empower them in the other different aspects. We can sponsor, we can support a daycare center within that community, right? So we're looking at the overall livelihood touch points. Not just, yes, we get in the farmers and we're out of it, right? So that's one of the main or key criteria for us, right? And then from there, just even as a business, I mean, obviously now when you're going to say to people, we are adopting this community or we're going to support this community for the next 5 years, then yes, your CFO will be like, okay, what's in it for us? You're like, wait first with the what's in it. Let's get the basics right. And once we have the basics right, you'll get to realize those profits or those margins that you're looking for as the CFO. So it's something that makes perfect sense. And you go to the HR director as well, who would say, how is this contributing to any of my budget? How is this going to help me? Then you can say, no, we're actually getting SCD points from this, so the business also benefiting from supporting this. They are benefiting, we are benefiting, but it almost has to be at every touch point. You cannot get into a system and just focus on skills development for youth. There's also other impacts or other social needs, because we're trying to bridge the gap as corporates. We say these are the societal challenges, these are the business needs, and this is where we can get together. So once you get to that midpoint where you have commonalities, it makes it quite easy for you to even motivate for anything for the organization.
I see. I see. Very well said. Yeah. It sounds very much like a strategic intent. It needs to make a lot of sense naturally for the business, but also the people who are out there looking in to say, how do I engage, with what I have at the moment. Perhaps the starting point is also just getting closer to what you are currently doing. And perhaps what you are proposing as the outside person looking in could be, this is where Nestle is currently occupying, activities. So what can I do in that area where their attention already exists? Because that makes then the strategic sense that you were talking about earlier on.
Otherwise, you have your budget exhausted with
many different things that are everywhere.
Everything, and you're sending out everything. But how for you to get the best impact is consolidating all the different efforts, grouping them, and seeing that this is where the biggest gap is for the community in which you're operating. So of course, you'll have other counterparts in other regions or other markets who are not worried about what you're worried about.
Sure.
So this is where we're saying localization makes perfect sense. Yes, it can be a global vision and all of that, but how do we then make it a bit local, which is what's going now? Still serving your shareholders globally, but also saving what the current local needs are.
Thank you for that. Kate, I was going through the Deloitte Gen Z and Millennial survey that was conducted in 2022. And basically, they had respondents of over 22,000 young people who completed this survey across the world. And 44 countries later, Africa included, these young people are basically saying that climate concerns were cited as playing a major part of their career decisions. And in fact, let me go further. They're saying that over half of these respondents say they research a brand's environmental impact and policies before approaching or accepting a job offer. They do that these days. These are educated, driven young people who are saying, I actually care a lot about what your environmental impact looks like and what your policies actually say about that. And then 1 in 6 of these guys were saying that they have already changed their jobs or sectors as a result of their climate concerns. So Kate, we have these talented, special group of young people who are this conscious. So how do we, bring these environmentally conscious young people closer to the business side of recycling, minimizing waste, circularity? How do we bring them closer to that to say, if you want to get into this space or, commercially, this could be a viable option for you as well? Because already the proof is there. The data is showing us that there's a lot of interest here.
Yeah, I think what we're battling with now, the industry literally changes every day. I learn every day. So that's one of the exciting things, other than having the meaning of what we're doing, but it's exceptionally complex. And so finding the right skills right now is hard for us. Okay. And you're seeing a lot more programs in universities and just even practical skills. I mean, waste management is fascinating. You need anything from chemical engineers, pharmacists, scientists, all types of operators too, sales, marketing, commercial, innovation's huge, waste to energy, those types of technology. So, you can attract a wide range of people into it. It's still potentially not seen as sexy as an industry, but we, as you say, seeing a greater interest of people. It's finding those skills. And I think as the industry, South Africa, why are these companies, these international companies investing in South Africa? It's because where our legislation's going and where our need is coming, big change has to happen. And I think there's a lot of innovation in the space, not only by these, other brands doing it, but in the industry that's attracting people. But it starts with, we have to tell these stories. We have to educate about waste. We have to make it attractive, but we also have to get people to connect that it's their responsibility too. Before I worked in the industry, I'd never been to a landfill site. I'd driven past rubbish dumps. We just do lots of site visits, and when people come on board, they're just always amazed. It doesn't smell. Our head office is in Germiston, where we operate. We do all sorts of solutions. Yeah, you do get different smells, but the technology and the excitement and what goes in the pre-processing and the processing of different types of waste we do, that just excites people. So for me, a big thing is education still, that education and awareness, because it just changes your mind. And we're trying to shift how people think and how they work. And so telling these stories, the Danone story, when we first made the desks, you made the beautiful partnership. For even our own staff to see that yogurt tub is now a school desk, for these little kids, the excitement, and they could tell you, was just monumental. For the rest of their life, I can't help thinking that they will see waste and they'll go, what can I do with this? That's what we want to get to. Because the innovation that can happen in this space is phenomenal.